Hi, welcome to our Justice League spoiler cast here at Tiny Disc Big Spoilers. I'm Robert, and I'm joined here by Jack.
Konnichiwa, bitches.
You're not bitches. You're all fantastic people, and I think you're very nice.
I wasn't calling them bitches. I was just generally, you know.
They're bitches, but they're not bitches.
No, it's from the Chappelle Show. These are not my words.
Of course. Yes, so we're going to spoil the new Justice League movie from the DC universe. So if you haven't watched it, turn off your phones, take off your headphones, don't listen any further, because we're about to spoil everything that's coming out of this wonderful movie.
It's a piece of work.
There are many pieces of work, indeed. I make one every day in my toilet.
Graphic.
Yeah. So let's start this off, as we usually do, with just our general feeling of the movie. So I'm going to toss it to you, Jack. I should probably mention Colin isn't with us because he also could not see the movie. So it's unfortunate.
So yeah. So right. My general thoughts. By any metric you could come up with, I would say this is below average overall, and we'll kind of discuss that more. But I'm definitely lukewarm, if not cold, on the movie. And based on the promotional campaign and Joss Whedon and kind of the build up for this film, I guess I would say that you'd have to put me in the slightly disappointed category, because even though I wasn't optimistic about it, I had hope based on what I just said. And then after seeing the film, I'm like, no more hope. But Superman's all about hope, Jack. How could you not have any? So where were you? Just move right along.
Okay, so for me, when I was in the theater, I enjoyed my time. It was good for me. It was a good, like, popcorn flick. It was good, like, if you suspend a lot of your disbelief, you'll enjoy yourself in the moment, I think. And well, then after I walked out of the theater, by the way, I'm like, it's been an hour since I saw the film. I'm pretty fresh. Sure. When I walked, like, after walking out of the theater, taking some time to reflect on it, it's kind of like, they could have done better. It could have been a little better.
I want to take a moment here and also kind of detail where we're coming from as well, right? Like where your DC fanboyism is currently and before the film. So, and then you go first and I'll go next.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call myself a DC fanboy. Like, I don't collect shit for DC. I don't buy vintage mint comics or collect action figures or anything. But I do like DC more than I like Marvel. And I do enjoy a lot of, like, DC stories.
Okay, so if you had to choose a side, which I am just not realizing that's a thing. Apparently you can't just like superheroes, which is where I always thought I fell. Like, apparently you have to pick a side, like DC or Marvel, which is interesting because I'm a huge Batman fan. Batman's probably my favorite superhero of all time. But I can't really point to anything else other than maybe the Christopher Reeves movies, right, from the 80s. That was a DC property where I really loved it. And so aside from that, I don't know if I can say like I'm a big DC fan, because I've seen more crap from DC than like good stuff. And I'm not a big comic book guy either. So I'm really like talking more on the films. I'm a very casual superhero guy. And when you're talking about just the films, I think it's very hard to, aside from the Nolan trilogy, the Batman trilogy, I think it's hard to say that like Marvel isn't like vastly superior. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I would say if you want to see like where DC is actually good, check out the animated movies and like the animated series they have, like the Batman animated series.
I agree.
Classic stuff. The movies that they make, stellar. Like, truly some of the best like animated superhero film stuff I've seen.
I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm a huge Batman fan. I'm probably, he's probably my favorite superhero, but I don't know if I would say, I'm a DC fan now, because I feel like Batman himself doesn't even really fit in the DC universe in a lot of ways that we'll get into later, I guess.
All right. So something I wanted to tackle, just because this is something that stood out to me the entire film. So the film, you've seen Batman v Superman, right? That was gritty. That was dark. That was edgy. That was serious. That was no room for jokes, no room for fun.
It was moody and pretentious.
And this movie was half that and half Joss Whedon's the director. You know?
Yeah. It was tonally all over the map. It was very inconsistent. It was like 1 minute you're laughing, the next minute, oh, this must be a scene where Snyder filmed it, right?
Right.
Like, listen, I understand the guy's going through like a family tragedy, right? And so my condolences to Zack Snyder, like completely. That being said, can we stop pretending that Zack Snyder's good at making films? Can we all just agree, like, he's not good? Why did he just has some insider access, I guess, to the right people that make these decisions? Because I don't think they should be trusting him with movies that are this culturally important with these high budgets. I mean, this film I think was over 200 million.
Something like
actually,
that.
no. Actually, I think with reshoots, I think it got into the 300 million. I'll have to check this now, but it's a very expensive movie, right? And this is a 10-year buildup for the DC franchise. And it's like, you know, look, Zach, like, I can't remember the last movie he made that I enjoyed, aside from 300, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 300 was good, right?
That was a long time ago, too.
Yeah. It felt like 300 years ago almost. Yeah, no. So for me, when I was watching the film, I was like, wow. So there are some scenes that look like, yeah, this was the Batman versus Superman sequel, like 100%. And then there were some scenes where I was like, am I watching the Avengers? Is this the Avengers that I'm watching right now? Because it's all just like silly, you know?
They were going for that, and in the beginning I was like, oh, this is a family movie. Lots of little kids too in the theater, I should say. Lots of groups of kids, more so than most Marvel movies I go see. And which is fine, right? Like, they're creating a movie that the whole family can go watch. But I just wasn't expecting that after, like you said, Batman v Superman's edgelord status in films.
Yeah. So I guess we can start off with talking about one of the edgiest edgelords in the DC universe. What did you think of Batflick?
Okay, so his first scene, right? He's like wrestling some Firefly Ghosts and Goblins man with a spacesuit on. And I just was like, wait, what? I was like, this is kind of goofy and just kind of weird. And it seemed cartoony and just over the top green screened. And I don't know. I already was like, uh-oh. Thinking at that time, I was like, uh-oh, they're going back to this kind of stuff. They're not taking it in a good direction. So I didn't feel safe.
Yeah. I think just overall, Batman in this film, I think they were trying to do too much with him. They were trying to play too much with like what Batman is. Like they were wanting him to be, you know, like the leader that pushes people from below, because that's kind of what he does in the Justice League. You know, like he's the cold, calculated thinker. He's not necessarily going to be like on the front lines charging into victory, but he's going to make sure like everyone doesn't die and that kind of stuff. And I think he played that role pretty well.
Yeah, there were. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but there are just some points where he's like weirdly funny, and he delivers every one of the jokes that are with like such seriousness, where it's like, does Ben Affleck know that that's a joke, or does Batman know? I don't know.
Yeah, it was just, like I said, like tonally all over the map. Like there were parts where I think they were trying to make Batman funny, and just the sense of humor just wasn't working for me, where he was like, I remember he's talking to, spoilers, right? Spoiler cast. Yeah. Superman's in this film, like everybody figured. But there's a part where he's talking to Superman or something like that, and he delivers a line kind of like a character in the show Friends would have delivered a line. Do you remember that part where he's like, I didn't say that, or something like that?
Yeah. Okay.
That part was super weird to me, and I was like, why are you making Batman do this? This is bad. Like, for instance, all right, to contrast this, all right, real quick, the Nolan Batman can be funny, and he does have funny lines in it, but his lines are like, I'm not wearing hockey pants, and like, that's funny, right?
Yeah.
In The Dark Knight. But this part where he's acting like fucking Chandler from fucking Friends, like not funny to me.
Jack,
and didn't work.
You know that I'm a major weeaboo in some ways, and there's this term that I want to enlighten you with called tsundere.
Bless the mic with tsundere. Okay.
Yeah, so tsundere is a term you can use to describe someone who like obviously likes you but doesn't want to show it. So they'd say stuff like, I made these cookies, but I just happened to make them. They weren't for you, but then they hand you one. Does that like, it's a very weird and very tropey thing. And when Batman was like, I don't not like you, to me that was like, oh my god, they're making him a tsundere. He's so like obviously like Superman but doesn't want to come off as liking him.
That's funny.
Yeah, Tsundere Batman. I'm calling it. That's what's happening. So I guess I had a lot of hopes for this movie, right? Because, I mean, for one, I just want to be optimistic about the DC cinematic universe, hopefully having good stuff. But also, we just came off a pretty big success in the form of the Wonder Woman movie.
Man, all this goodwill just got trashed.
Yeah.
Thrown in the bin. They made some really poor changes to Wonder Woman and also not just Wonder Woman, but the Amazons, right, on the mascara, or how do you say that?
The mascara.
The mascara. The mascara.
Yep, that's the island.
They just made some changes to the Amazons, and I just thought it was really Zack Snyder-y.
Yeah, so what kind of changes do you mean?
Well, like they're showing all their bulging abs now, right? Like holding the doors open. They all have like crazy glamorous makeup. They look like Jem and like updos and shit. Like they all look like they just got out of the salon. And if you go watch Wonder Woman, that's not what they look like at all. Like their midsections are completely covered. They look like normal people, right?
Yeah.
Which I just appreciated. And in this film, they were just like totally like they looked like they were like CrossFit competitors. I actually think he went to CrossFit to cast some of them. Like no joke.
I'd believe it, honestly.
Yeah. So those kind of things. But Wonder Woman herself, okay, one of the first scenes she's in, I just hated. I didn't even get what the terrorist plot was to like blow up 4 city blocks with like a briefcase, and then she like throws it up in the air and then it explodes and looks like a little firecracker. Like, how is that going to blow up like 4 city blocks? So that was weird. And then seriously, dude, eye roll moment within the first 5 minutes of the film is where the dude's like shooting the machine gun at the big crowd of people, and then she goes and like blocks every bullet with her gauntlets. And I was just sitting there slack jawed like, this sucks. It's like, this is really bad for Wonder Woman, and this movie's gonna be bad. And oh man, it just was going downhill from the get-go.
I don't know, I kind of liked that scene.
Did you seriously?
I mean,
it was so corny to me. It came off so corny and unbelievable, and that's for Wonder Woman.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna say this now to preface almost everything else I say in the spoiler cast. Because I'm a huge anime fan, I likened a lot of what happened here to like anime. Like, just a lot of things felt very tropey in anime, and I don't know if that's a good thing necessarily for a Western Hollywood film, but it helped me enjoy it a little more,
I guess.
Like, I don't like, that scene to me was like, wow, look at how cool she is because she's doing something so over the top. Whoa.
It just didn't look cool to me. It just looked lame. It didn't feel heroic either. Like in her film, in the Wonder Woman film, right? That scene where she's holding her shield up against the machine gun encampment and allowing people to cross over the front line, right? To take back that city. That was a very heroic, awesome moment in Wonder Woman. And they just like took all that and just threw it away, like made her a stupid cartoon character, in my opinion, in this. But we'll talk about that more. I mean, we can kind of go through the rest of the heroes too. Yeah.
So I guess next on the list here, what they do in the first half of the film is they introduce like all 3 of the new heroes, but in like, here's a little bit of Flash's story, and then cut, here's a little bit of Cyborg, cut, and then here's Steppenwolf, and then cut, and then here's Aquaman, cut, and back to, you know, it's like, it was very jumpy and it jumped all over the place. So instead of doing that in this spoiler cast, I'd like to just focus on one character at a time. I think that'll be a lot easier for us and you.
It was very they had to, you know, cram so much in the first half hour of this film. Like they had to do like basically 3 origin stories worth of story. in like 8 minutes. It was just, it felt rushed. It was rushed. And it's like, couldn't these guys like deserve their own film? Like, why didn't they get their own film? We've had 10 years here.
Isn't the next DC movie Aquaman, right? Like 2018?
I don't know. Is that okay?
Yeah,
well, that would be cool. Okay. Well, so yeah, who do you want to start with first?
So I want to start with Flash because I think they did his character the best of the 3 introduced heroes.
Okay.
And also because Flash is kind of my favorite DC hero.
Is he really?
Yeah.
More than Batman or Joker? I guess Joker's a villain.
Joker's not a hero, my friend.
Okay,
well,
right.
There is one. Okay, anyway. Yeah, no, Flash is definitely one of my favorite heroes in the DC universe. And I like the way they did him. It was a different take where he was like kind of that neurotic, you know, like super nerdy guy who doesn't get along with people, but has a lot of very funny insights.
That's not how he is normally?
He's more like, he's not neurotic with people. He's very like socially outgoing, usually. Not as much. Like here he kind of comes off as like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, but not like annoying. But not annoying.
So what I compare him to is, all right, let's put Jimmy Fallon in this movie.
Yeah.
That's how he acted to me, and he looked like Jimmy Fallon too. But I thought he kind of won my heart a little bit because he had a Blackpink on, that famous four-girl K-pop group, right? And they played, I can't remember the name of the song, but one of their better known songs. And I was like, oh, Blackpink's in this movie? Sweet. I was feeling that when Batman goes to like learn about him and test his powers and recruit him. Yeah. I will say about the Flash overall. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add on that scene too. You'll see some Rick and Morty in the background on one of the monitors, and I love that. That was like, that scene built up the Barry Allen in this movie very well, I think.
I felt Zack Snyder's elbow in my side, like, hey, yeah, millennial, right, yeah, you got that right. So that scene was kind of funny. You know, he has like a funny delivery. Like he's kind of the part of the comic relief of this film. The Flash is.
Absolutely.
I will say that I just didn't like his backstory. I just thought it was like undercooked. I would have liked to have seen his own film. I really would have, in his case specifically. I think his powers when he's using them look awesome. Same. One of my favorite parts of the film. I thought it looked really cool, even though he kind of ran like a dweeb a little bit. He ran kind of like a nerd. That's fine. Because he was nerdy, right? But yeah, I don't know. I guess he was, you know, it was good for a laugh every now and again.
Yeah. No, I think I really enjoyed the way they did the Flash here. And the thing is, I do agree with you that his backstory was a little undercooked, but I think it was still the best done out of the other like two heroes that were introduced, personally.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen all three of them, maybe not Cyborg, but you know, most of them get their own film. It just was sad that, you know, it had to happen after the fact rather than before the big kind of big movie.
Yeah, I mean, allegedly, I think Cyborg's getting a movie in 2020, so wait 3 years. I guess is DC's answer to you.
Wonder if that actually happens. We'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start talking about Cyborg in this film. So the CG was a little, could have been better on his face.
Better than, I mean, there were scenes where it was better than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
Based on the trailer. I think overall the visuals for the final film look better than the trailer. His story was just like, I don't know, just something about it. Just, I don't see how a father would want to like put their dead son through hell like that. Yeah. And like keep them alive. Like that's just like a fate worse than death, it seems like. And it was just like, I want to call Cyborg, like, what would be a good name for him? He's just Captain Convenient, right? Like whenever an issue comes up, he auto updates, and all of a sudden he doesn't even know he has the power now to fix every problem that happens at that exact moment. Yeah. So like, you know, like Captain Convenient, it was just kind of like, all right, well, if there's never going to be an issue they can't solve anymore because he's just going to auto update, he's going to learn it, and he's going to be able to do it. So is that how his power usually works?
See, I don't know that much about Cyborg in the comics, so I couldn't say for sure. I mean, I know he can like definitely hack stuff. Like, okay, when he took over Batman's Spider-Mobile, that weird crawly spider,
the bat crab.
Yeah, that thing. When he took over that, I was like, oh yeah, that's kosher. Yeah, Cyborg can probably do that. What bothered me with his character is that, you know, he played this like, you know, kind of darker, like I hate what I've become. Like I didn't ask for this, Dad, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of overcomes it in the end. And I don't feel like it was really that well earned. It was just, hey, Wonder Woman told me to buck up, so I bucked up. You know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It just felt a little like his character had an arc, but I don't think what was the catalyst for that arc was really worth it or was really convincing, I guess.
I know you and Colin were waiting for the magic words "booyah" to arrive, and he finally says it at the very end. Mm-hmm. And so maybe for some people that was a big payoff. He just seemed like a cold kind of guy. Like he was having no fun whatsoever. Like he was all business, and like Aquaman and everyone else are the ones having the fun.
Yeah,
at his expense.
I'm glad that you brought up the booyah, because for me, I felt like that booyah wasn't earned. It was kind of like,
what? Like, where'd that come from, right?
Yeah, it sounded like the director was like, hey, so the millennials are going to want you to say booyah at this moment. So can you just say that? And action.
And say it as awkwardly as possible, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Booyah?
Okay.
Yeah,
well, that's disappointing to hear.
Yeah, it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like that cyborg was the cyborg who would say booyah, you know?
So it felt fan servicey kind of the worst way.
Yes.
Unfortunate.
And then there is Aquaman.
They made him a badass. They made him kind of funny. They had him saying the shit word, and they had him drinking liquor too, and like making it look cool. I was sort of uncomfortable a little bit for the parents in the theater with me, because like he was glorifying alcoholism. Like, seriously, he was. And
then walking into the water as you're drinking.
It was cool, whatever. But I'm like I've said, like, I wouldn't want a superhero glorifying drug use or tobacco even. Really,
right.
You know, if my kid, I don't have a kid, but if I had a kid and I was watching a film with them, like, I would just be kind of grimacing at that, you know. So
yeah, Aquaman's character, I think, probably got the least backstory. You know, there was like that little moment where he kind of like comes back to Atlantis, and that lady's like, oh, look, son of the queen finally comes back, and you get the sense that, you know, he hates being there, but he doesn't necessarily enjoy being above land or above water, so he just kind of like hates being, but he's happy helping out these nobodies in a nobody town.
Is that his sister underwater?
I don't follow enough of Aquaman to know
who that is. Okay, so I know the actress's name is Amber Heard, and I knew she was going to be in this film, but I was somewhat disappointed that it was such a minor role. She had like 120 seconds of screen time, maybe.
Yeah,
you know, throughout.
But that was kind of like it for his backstory, because it was at that moment where it was like, it's your responsibility to go kick Steppenwolf's ass, and then the next time you see him, he's helping out the rest of the Justice League, and he's just like, he's on board. He doesn't even like ask, can I be a part of your team? He's just like, yeah, I'm here. We're in it.
One thing I kept wishing I saw in this film was like some badass sea creature moments or something like that. Like, I wanted him to summon Cthulhu and shit, and like be like, talk to Cthulhu and be like, yo, help us out with this dark side, bitch. But he just had his trident, so it was just like him like screaming, drinking, cussing, had his trident, doing shit, moving water, parting the seas. But I would have loved to seen like some more, like, you know what I mean, like some like giant killer whales or some great white sharks or some jellyfish, you know, just some cool shit with the animals. So maybe that'll be in his standalone film, but I wish they incorporated that more.
But here's the thing too, Aquaman's character isn't like, the animals aren't all he is. Like, he is way badass on his own, and I'm frankly like happy that he wasn't just, you know, turned into this guy who summons blue whales out of nowhere. You know, like, that's like a very boring version of Aquaman, where he's just like, I can talk to animals and I ask them to help me out because we're all friends.
It's the big joke about how Aquaman is, to non-DC fans, is that how Aquaman's pretty much the lamest superhero because all he does is like talk to fish. That's like the pop culture joke, right? So I'm glad they made him a badass, and he wasn't just like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, you know, that talked to fish. Like, that would have been so lame. They did good things with the character there, making him in this film.
Because canonically, he is a very badass hero. Like, if I remember right, he has, like, not necessarily at the get-go, but he can get the ability to like flood the earth if he wanted to, like stuff like that. You know, he could be like a devastating character. So I'm glad that they didn't just make him this boring guy who summons piranhas to help him out, although he does joke about it, which is fun. I will say my favorite Aquaman moment was definitely when he's just like sitting on the lasso of truth.
Yeah, I just think about that.
Going off. Yeah. And it's like,
that was such a Joss Whedon moment.
Absolutely. It's like, you dress up like a bat, and you know, you're like, what are you even? But you're hot. You're very fine. You're very attractive.
It caught me by surprise too. I didn't see the lasso coming, but it just made perfect sense. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
like, it's kind of crazy how I was mentally like flipping a switch in my head while I was watching the film. Like, okay, this is Joss Whedon scene, this is Zack Snyder scene, and vice versa. You know, and back and forth. I just kept picking them out one after the other. They were so tonally different. and they were just mixed up, and they didn't really like gel well together. I think they bumped up against each other. I even think they had a different look, a different camera movement, a different vibe. It was like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different movies like scrambled together, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let's now talk about the main baddie, the main antagonist that's driving this movie along. Steppenwolf.
I've never seen or heard of the man before. This is the first time I've ever seen him. I guess he has a big axe. He's kind of like a barbarian in Diablo?
Yeah, kind of. So I had never heard of Steppenwolf until like the movie trailer started coming out, and I was like, oh, who's that guy? Here's the thing. When Batman v Superman ended, I thought they were going to pull a Darkseid, or Darkseid would be coming to Earth, like just straight up him.
I thought he was the main bad. Yeah, it was really disappointing that he made no appearance in this film whatsoever.
Yeah, instead, like Steppenwolf is Darkseid's lackey. He's one of like Darkseid's right-hand men. Mm-hmm. So that's why in the movie, like Steppenwolf at some point says, like, you know, get the other mother box for the good of Darkseid or whatever. Like, you know, so it's definitely in service to this villain that hopefully will come around.
Yeah, I had the idea he was going to be in this film, and so this whole time I'm like, well, where's Darkseid? Where's Darkseid? They're obviously going to kill Steppenwolf. Darkseid's going to come, and then it's going to be like real. Yeah, never materialized, and so I was just kind of left hanging there the whole time. Like we didn't even get to see him or hear of him. Maybe I mean I didn't stay around so egregiously, right? I stayed around for the first post-credit scene, but I didn't stick around for the last one, so we can kind of hit that up at the end later.
Okay, yeah, sure. But yeah, Steppenwolf for me, he's so boring. He was so boring in this film.
I just don't think the CG was good. It looked so Unreal Engine 4, DirectX 12.
I mean, for me, it wasn't even how he looked, but he was just, I'm going to get the 3 parts of the Triforce and then use that power to take over your planet because I am a villain and I do villainous things.
There was no like through line for the other films. I don't know if there was any buildup. I've seen most of DC films. I haven't heard word one of this guy or these boxes or anything. There wasn't any mention or image or integration with like Lex Luthor. What's he doing? Like his name was brought up, but
there was kind of like, you know, they were looking at Lex's notes because apparently Lex was taking notes on the mother boxes, right? Like I don't know.
But they didn't have him in the film, is what I mean, right?
Well, in this film they did. They mentioned like
no, they didn't have him in the film, like okay. Jesse Eisenberg, right?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But yeah, no, with Steppenwolf, it's just so boring because he was just like, I'm a villain and I'm here to be a bad guy and I don't have anything interesting going on. You know,
it's just so bad, aren't I?
Yeah, like even his lines, like all of his, like the voice work, like the effects they did around his voice were like, I guess cool, but also very typical, like I'm a demon from another world voice, you know?
Yeah, it didn't do it for me. There were some cool action scenes with him involved in it, but I just thought it was kind of a vanilla, boring character overall.
Yeah, I don't know.
Villain-wise.
I don't know. I mean, the scene that gave him the most, like, development, I guess, is that scene where he like took people hostage and was like, what do you know about the mother box or whatever, you know? And
I mean, besides Batman's rogues gallery and besides Lex Luthor and like those 3 people from Krypton, I don't know any other DC villains at all.
There's Brainiac, there's Doomsday, who was in Batman v Superman. Well, a really bad version of Doomsday was in that.
Brainiac in a film, I can't even see them doing that.
Yeah, what can you
do?
It's
like a big giant head with like arms and legs coming out of it. It's so weird. All right.
So yeah, I don't know. I wish the bad guy was so much better in this film, but it was just it was just this wall that the superheroes had to break down. Like that was what this movie was. And I love the action scenes though. Like for me, it was just like, wow, this is pretty cool to watch. Like I'll say it before and I'll say it again. This is very good live action Dragon Ball Z stuff.
It was fun to watch The Flash and how he like, you know, helped out and assisted. That was some of the highlights for me action wise. I think that Aquaman was okay in the beginning half of the film for the first few battles, but then the last battle, I think Aquaman was way too cartoony and just way too like he should have been the one saying booyah. That would have fit.
Definitely. It would have fit him more.
Yeah, for sure. So Yeah, and then Superman, you know, I mean, I guess we'll get there soon, but Steppenwolf really wasn't a great villain overall. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just was, you know, subpar.
Right. So they saved the hostages, which, by the way, was done pretty well with Batman saying to Flash, just save one person and then you'll know what to do after that. And then, like, after he saves a guy, he gets, like, Flash gets this high of, like, I did it. I saved something. And then he just goes back and gets more, you know? Like,
right.
It was very, like, great Flash build-up for me. But, yeah, they fight Steppenwolf. Can't even beat him. Can't do much. So Batman gets the idea. Let's revive Kal-El. Let's bring Black Clark.
So I was sort of confused, right? Like, so at the end of Batman v Superman, they tease at the very end, like the rocks and the dirt lifting up off the ground. Do you remember that? Like after they buried Superman. So to me, that was like, well, Superman's still alive. He's going to just come back under his own volition, his own power. But no, he's actually just straight up dead. See,
that's what I thought too.
Okay.
And do you know that in the comics there's a point where he dies? Superman?
I remember the episode. I remember the comic book where Superman died. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how he came back to life?
No.
The explanation was...
Is it the Lazarus Pit?
No, the explanation was when Kryptonians, quote, die, or whatever we humans think is death, they actually just go in a super deep coma for a couple years to regain their health and stamina and come out of it.
So the sun basically just awoke him?
Yeah.
The power of the sun?
Like over a long period of time.
That's all. These people like comic book writers. That's the best they could do?
Yeah, and I'm still kind of unsure whether I like the way it was done in this film, where like they use a power that the bad guy wants to use to revive him, and I think like that's a cool idea.
Yeah, they use the cube, like one of the cubes, and then the Flash has to like strike it with electricity the moment it touches the water that Clark's in. And are they in like his ship or something? Yeah,
that was his ship.
Okay.
And I thought like I guess that's cool and all, but why would you tease the dirt lifting off of Superman's casket when he's like through and through dead?
Yeah, there was like that. Oh, by the way, that never happened, right? That's just how this movie treated it. And I just was like, that's really sloppy, Zack Snyder. That's really sloppy script writing.
Yeah, I think part of it may have been like Zack Snyder was the one who came up with the idea of like the dirt, and then Joss Whedon came in with like the cube idea. Maybe that's what could have been it, and it just like fell through the cracks.
I don't think the Joss Whedon one came out with the cube idea. I think, but this does, you bring up a very interesting point, because this does bring me to something that I did want to bring up that we forgot to discuss before, which is that this movie reminds me a bit of the Suicide Squad. Did you ever get around to watching that?
No.
Okay. In that, when I say that, what I mean is that they both feel very meddled with by the studio heads. They both feel like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen that are calling the shots, and there isn't like one vision being seen through, right? Because if there was one vision, one director, one writer, in this case Zack Snyder, the dirt lifting up the end of the last movie would have tied into what happened in this film. That's what I mean by this, right? It just seems like there's too many people trying to put in too many ideas, and there isn't one like clear vision for it. And this is what happens when you get that incoherence, inconsistency.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't know. I couldn't explain what happened in that studio, but it's just a shame that this kind of stuff is kind of slipping through the cracks, right? It's just like very obvious plot holes in some way.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, I was so ready too to be like, oh shit, Superman's doing something down there. Like, we're gonna find out now in this film.
Yeah,
I couldn't have been the only one thinking that.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking of that, you remember the trailers? Did you watch the trailers for this film?
Yeah, I watched them. Yeah.
Remember the one where fucking Jeremy Irons or Alfred?
Oh yeah, like, yeah.
Right? It's like, he said you'd be coming. Come here, I've got this for you. When did that happen?
Yeah, not in the film. Not in the film. That's got to be for the Blu-ray, baby.
Yeah, and God.
Yeah, right. It sucked.
So, all right, Superman comes back to life, but then he goes berserk. Right?
I didn't like that. So they had to fight Superman, and he's the only one that can move as fast as Flash, and he's basically invincible. And I just thought that was dumb.
The scene where the Flash was running to him, and then
that's funny.
Kal-El just moves his eye and he just looks directly at the Flash, and the Flash's face was like, that's
crap.
never happened.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the storyline why Superman doesn't remember who he is? He has amnesia now. Like, talk about an anime, Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why for me when I was watching it, I was like, all right, I guess that doesn't make sense, but I'll watch it.
And then like Lois Lane's voice brings him back.
Yeah, okay. I will say I did like how the big guns were just Lois Lane, because like for me, I was expecting with Superman it'd be like a chunk of kryptonite, or with Batman it'd be like a chunk of kryptonite, or you know, like I mentioned at some point previously on this podcast, clamping some clamps to Superman's nipples and electrocuting him with the city.
Right.
You know, like some big gun. But instead it's something kind of a little more sweet, which I wasn't expecting personally.
Okay.
So, yeah, they bring back Superman. Superman's back. And he has this weird, like, love-hate relationship with Batman, where he's like, I didn't ask to come back. You don't want me alive, and you don't want me dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll my eyes. And dude,
the scene where he asked, do you bleed?
Yeah. That was it. And then he's like, I guess I'm definitely bleeding somewhere. Like, dude, shut up. And, okay, I could not look past this, dude. And it bugged me from the very first scene in the film where kids are taping Superman with their cell phone. Do you remember that? But
I remember.
Dude, his fucking CG'd upper lip and teeth and mouth, his whole face, the whole movie long looks so fake to me. Superman, he looks so ultra CG, and it was like poor CG. This is like, dude, I still think like Gollum in the first Lord of the Rings trilogy looked better than Superman looked in this film. I'm being dead serious. Like, his face looked like straight up, I felt like I was watching a Pixar movie in some of these scenes. Just Batman, or I'm sorry, not Batman, Superman, just I think looked bad this entire film. Did you notice the CG at all? I noticed it every frame.
Yeah. It didn't bother me as much as it bothers you, but I did notice it. I think for me, though, this movie solidified for me that Henry Cavill is a pretty decent Superman.
Okay.
I think he plays the role really well. In turn, like, not when he's going crazy and asking, do you bleed? But when like, especially, I guess we can go into the final fight, right, with Steppenwolf.
Sure.
Where he finally creates the unity. And yeah, when like Superman finally comes into that scene, that for me was like, oh baby, Goku's back. Naruto is back on the scene, you know, like that's what it felt like. It felt like the side characters trying their best, and then you needed the main protagonist who was off training in the mountains is finally back.
Right. It was like a relief that he's like back on track, right? But it's just like he makes every other superhero seem so much less, you know, like they can't do shit without him. Like, it's really just Superman's world, and we all live in it.
That's kind of his thing. Yeah.
I get it. No, I get it. But it's just like, I love Wonder Woman, you know, her first film. I love her character, and she was just like, they're all just like helpless, like around Superman. So I would have liked to see more synergy. I guess that's one thing that I wish I had seen more of, was more like interaction between their powers. More, I should say, because there was that in this film, but I should say more creative use of their powers in synergy. Yeah. Right, and more creative battles and fight choreography, etc. Like all that stuff. It was very, to me, somewhat by the numbers. I didn't see anything really that was like a standout moment. Like, oh shit, that's a really cool way to use their power. Like, one thing I think about in X-Men is like, I know it's corny, but like when Wolverine like uses just the middle claw to flick somebody off. Like, that's hilarious. You know, that's creative. Like something like that, I think would have gone a long way to build character in this film.
Absolutely. I still think the standout part of this film to me in terms of like using their powers is one that's shown in the trailer where the Flash like runs all the way around that pipe and then like boops the little sword to get it back into Diana's hand. Like, that was really cool. And it was cool. Like nice synergy there.
I agree.
But no, for the final fight, you like, so Cyborg gets up on the cube and just keeps on touching it until it stops being a cube. And then the others are like trying to fight everyone off, right? Like, that's kind of just the whole thing where Diana says like, on my lead, and then kind of leads them into battle. But not really.
I don't know if I was like weary. I don't know if it's my problem or the film's problem, but I was just so fatigued visually by that point in the film. It was really hard for me. Yeah, it was really hard for me to like focus on the last battle. Like, it just seemed real noisy and real, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to watch it again to like really make some good comments on it. Like, all I really remember from, and I just saw this film yesterday, but all I really remember was like, okay, there's this weird looking dark web around this one city, and they break it down, and then Batman like plays decoy, and then Superman goes and kicks everybody's ass, and that's kind of the end.
Well, yeah, Batman plays decoy, and his original plan was basically to get killed doing it. Like, you know, go out.
He wanted to die?
Yeah, he wanted to like go out and be the hero. And
wow.
And then Diana and Cyborg, well, who helps him again? It's like Diana and Aquaman's there. You know, they come in and they're like, really? Your plan was to die? Yeah, no, it was Aquaman saying like,
okay,
man, you really are crazy. You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so they come in and save his ass. Which is cool, I guess.
I didn't think it was the best part of the movie. It didn't seem like the finale. And I guess maybe a lot of that had to do with it. I was just waiting for Darkseid to show up. Maybe.
You're waiting for something that never came.
Right.
Yeah. For me, the best part was definitely when like Superman finally enters the scene. You know, where Steppenwolf's like, there is no hope. And then he's like, well, I believe in hope. Believe it. Believe it. I believe in hope. You know, like being the shonen protagonist he is. And just that one punch where like, you know, just throughout the whole movie, you know, you see Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, you know, they all try to go up against Steppenwolf and he just like throws them aside like they're little plush toys. And then to finally be like blown away by a punch by Superman, it was like really satisfying to see that on like a very base level. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed that part of the film. I think it was good. Like Superman finally being there, it kind of felt the gang's really here. Okay. You know?
Okay. Fair enough.
Like, yeah, cutting away to like other people's, like the other heroes' reactions when it's like, oh, finally, it's a relief. Whew, Clark's here, you know, like.
So they kill Steppenwolf? Is he dead or just gone?
I believe the like the little bug boys kill him.
And that's right, because he gets scared because he doesn't have his axe anymore. Because Superman freezes it with his cold breath, and then Diana shatters it, right?
Yeah, with her sword.
Yeah, and then he gets scared, and then his minions feed on his fear, and then the cubes get destroyed. I can't remember.
I don't remember what they did. I think they just took the cubes.
Okay, they separated them again, returned them to the rightful places like Atlantis, and
maybe. Yeah, I know they separated them.
Separate the three rings.
Okay,
to
yeah,
seal
I have to
Sauron
say
away.
though, that part where Cyborg and Superman are separating them, and like at first Superman's like, you know, I'd rather not be dead again. I like being alive. And then like after they separate it and then the huge explosions happened and he's like, never mind, I'd rather be dead. That was I feel like that was obviously a reshoot. Like that scene.
Yeah.
That
I
sounded
totally agree with you.
Extremely reshooty to me.
Yeah. Like I said, like 5 different movies put together. Yeah. All jumbled up, all in a blender. And none of them really mix. Should we jump to Lois Lane's soliloquy here?
Yeah, so at the end of the film, they do this whole wrap up where like, yay, the Flash got a real job, and like, Cyborg can finally do shit. And, you know, like they wrap up everyone's character arc for a little bit, and then Lois Lane finally is able. You remember stuff from that?
I was just gonna say I remember this now. Like it really bugged me. Like it was a super ultra happy, mega great good times ending, and I hated that. Like everyone got what they wanted. You know, like everything is right. It was just so like. That's a family film, right? That's what would happen in a family film. Like the Flash got a job. He's going to help get his dad out of jail. You know, the Cyborg, like all the bows were wrapped up nice and neat. And here you go, America, like eat it up. Yeah. And that just really annoyed me.
Really?
Yes, it annoyed me that everything just was perfectly great.
Yeah, and the movie starts ending with like Lois Lane. Oh, she's finally able to start writing like deeper stories again. And it's her little soliloquy about like, what was it? The worst darkness is not the one where there is no light, but the one where you like don't even think about the idea of having light anymore or something, or the conviction that no light will ever exist again or something like that.
What's that blog thing? That blog website? I can't remember what's it. Tumblr.
Okay.
It just seemed like we were reading like Lois Lane's Tumblr post.
A little bit, yeah.
Like I was just like, dear diary, and I was just like, and I was thinking to myself, like, if this was like the old Superman movies, right, with Clark Kent, or not Clark Kent, with what's the guy's name?
Oh boy.
Oh, I just forgot. I'm drawing a blank here.
Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Superman. No, Christopher Reeves.
Christopher Reeves.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you. Anyways, if this was that.
Wow. Okay.
If this was that movie, right? Like no one would give a shit what Lois Lane was saying back then. Like, why is Lois Lane given the last, words in this film? Like, why is she closing up the story? Like, she's literally just Superman's girl. Like, let's not like treat Lois Lane like she's some crazy, huge, big, important. I don't know. I just didn't like that decision. creatively, that she's the one that's delivering that. Like, it could be Gordon, it could be so many different people, it could be Batman.
Like, I would have liked it if it was either Batman, Clark, or Wonder Woman who delivered that speech. I think that would have been
Alfred. It could have been so many different people.
Yeah, I think it would have been best if it was delivered from a member of the Justice League, especially one of the leaders of the Justice League, because I think that makes more sense in terms of, like, for me, that finally wrap up, like, the Justice League are here. Like, I remember when I got to the end of Avengers, I felt like the Avengers are here. It's not Thor, Iron Man, Hulk. It's the Avengers. Like, whereas at the end of this movie, I feel like, oh yeah, it's Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. I don't.
Yeah, you're right. There was never that. They tried to do that moment, but I just don't think it ever really. They hit it out of the park with like this moment. They're walking down out of the ship. They are the Justice League now. Like, is Superman the leader or is Batman the leader?
I don't know. I think, like, for me, there are three leaders. It's Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman.
So there's no one leader, kind of like how Tony Stark is sort of the leader of the Avengers.
I think like the de facto leader is supposed to be Superman, but then like Batman does a lot of like behind the scenes shit, right? And then like Wonder Woman also sometimes takes the mantle.
Okay, so Batman's like the fixer, and Superman's like the face.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have liked Superman to like said some real leadership shit at the end. That would have wrapped it up much better than Lois Lane talking.
Right. And just to kind of go back to where you said it was Lois Lane's Tumblr, let's be honest, that was probably Zack Snyder's personal Tumblr. That's what it was to me.
Stop giving him films, people. Stop.
But Jack, you need to know about the worst darkness. Okay, so let's get to the post-credit scenes.
I'm shaking my head right now for the people at home.
So let's get to the post-credit scenes here. What I find very funny is the person I was seeing it with during the first set of credits, he was like, I really hate how Superman is just as fast or faster than the Flash. And then that first post-credit scene came up.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was like very perfect timing.
I mean, it makes sense to me. He's Superman. He can do everything that anyone else can do, just better.
Yeah, I think the right explanation here is that Silver Age Superman, the time when Superman could literally do anything, like hold infinity into the palm of his hands, whatever the fuck that means, like that Superman can easily go faster than the Flash. I think current New 52 or Rebirth Superman can keep up with the Flash, but when the Flash goes like super fast, like, destroying the fabric of reality fast, I don't think Superman can keep up with that, as far as I know. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this Superman seems to be on par with the Flash, if not faster.
Okay.
But this is also an inexperienced Flash, from what I'm gathering. He seems very new to the gig.
Right. So after that scene, I left. Some people I had noticed I was one of the only ones leaving, so I think people assumed there was a end of the credit scene, which it sounds like there was, and I don't know what happened, so I'm going to discover this right now with you today.
So here's the thing: you sounded like you were assuming Darkseid would show up at the end of the post credit scenes. That's what you kind of seemed like.
No, I was hoping for him to be in the movie. I was hoping Steppenwolf was just a Steppenwolf step to Darkseid.
Okay, so here's a post-credit scene. I'll lay it out for you. You're in prison, and then everyone's like leaving to like go on recess or whatever. And then you see, like, way at the end of the hallway. Yeah. End of a hallway, you see a bald man who's just standing there in the room.
Okay.
And one of the guards is like, hey, Luthor, get on. Like, get on out of there. Come on. Don't make me come in there and pull you out. Okay. And he steps inside, turns him around, and it's not Lex Luthor, but it's another bald guy. And he's, like, laughing maniacally, almost like the Joker.
Okay.
And then it cuts to Deathstroke. Do you know who that is in the DC universe?
Oh, shit, really?
Deathstroke, yeah.
Daggone it, I missed it.
You missed Deathstroke.
In full costume.
In full gear. And then he takes off the mask, and he's like, the whole eye patch and everything. He looks so cool.
Oh, shit.
He looked really cool. I really liked it. So he's riding a little boat, and then he parks it up behind a bigger yacht, and then he gets on the yacht.
How long is the scene?
It's like 2 minutes.
Wow.
He gets on this yacht, and then he starts talking to Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. Who is apparently free from jail now, and he's like, so yeah, no, I just saw the god go from below the ground and all the way back up in the sky, because he plays Lex Luthor like the Joker pretty much. Mm-hmm. Well, like a little more of a grounded Joker, but nonetheless. Okay. She's basically saying like Superman's back, and it sounds like he's built an alliance with other heroes, so maybe we need an alliance of villains. And then it kind of ends on that. Kind of ends on the hint that the Legion of Doom are coming for.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, that's actually what it's called. Like,
nice.
The equivalent of the Justice League for bad guys is the Legion of Doom.
Okay.
So it's hinting at like maybe in Justice League 2 or like what some upcoming DC film that's gonna be the new bad guy. So it's not even a hint of Darkseid, which I'm both happy about, because I'll be honest, when I saw that post-credit scene, I was legitimately giddy. I was like,
that sounds cool.
I'm excited, yes, because it finally will solve the issue of having a boring-ass villain. You know, because
that's the biggest problem with these films.
Right. So I'm hoping whatever movie they put the Legion of Doom in, that's going to be a good movie. Like an actually objectively good film.
Is the Suicide Squad ever... I mean, the plan, right, is to have cross play, right, with all of these DC properties, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
So that'll be crazy whenever that happens.
Yeah. So here's the thing: when I saw the fake Lex Luthor in the jail cell, like laughing like Joker, I was like, "Oh shit, Joker's gonna be in the DC universe." And then I remembered, oh, he is in the he's Jared Leto.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah.
I don't want the Joker anymore.
I'm telling you two things right now, and I'm dead serious. Okay. If Jared Leto is involved anymore in any capacity, I don't care if he's playing an extra on a hot dog stand in these films, or if Zack Snyder is involved in any way with these films, I am just going to blanket statement. It's going to suck. Whatever they touch, they're toxic. It's just going to suck. I'm not going to look forward to it. I'm going to think it's going to suck. Like, so I really, really hope that Zack Snyder and Jared Leto are not attached to DC anymore. Like, take it away from them, please.
Yeah, I mean, weren't they talking about replacing Jared Leto with like Leo DiCaprio?
That could be a thing for like the standalone Joker film if that happens, which to me seems really risky. Really risky. Yeah. But if I have faith in any actor, I think Leonardo DiCaprio could do it. However, he is almost guilty of like playing the same kind of character in every film.
True, in a way. He did finally unlock the Oscar DLC, so you know, hopefully that grants him new powers. I
want a Wolf of Wall Street, like just like ruthless, like coke snorting Joker.
Cork Snowden.
I want like a Wolf of Wall Street Joker, right? Like that would be incredible to me. That's having fun.
I can see that.
Oh, dude, wait a second. Wasn't Wolf of Wall Street where Margot Robbie like kind of got her launch, right? Like that was where like people like she became famous. So if she's Harley Quinn, do the math, dude, and Leo DiCaprio is Joker, it's like a reunion of Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh shit.
What? Okay,
I look forward to that.
I'm leaving it at that.
Yes. So overall, I would say it's an all right popcorn film. If you like DC, you might find something you like in it.
You love DC. Would you pay to see this again in theaters?
I would with other friends if they wanted to see it, but I wouldn't just go on my own. I see no reason to watch it on my own.
Would you own this film?
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't buy it on Blu-ray?
I mean, I don't buy many movies on Blu-ray. I only own one Blu-ray movie right now in my life.
Which is?
Your Name.
Nice. Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll leave it at that. Jack, you're very much not liking this film.
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was. I can't say it was good. It's too slapdash. It's too messed up. It was too doomed from the start. It wasn't. It was underdeveloped and kind of rushed out in a weird way, and it was just sloppy. So I have to say it was a bad film. I guess I needed to know. I had to know. I was thinking it was gonna be bad, and then I thought it might be better, and then I was like, no, this is just bad, with some Joss Whedon humor in it, peppered throughout, like a piece of corn in a turd. That's what this film is, and that's the last thing I'm going to say.
Let's end it on that image. Yeah. So that's been us on Tiny Disc. Big spoilers, big corn in some turd action. Yeah, share it with some friends if they've seen Justice League. Have any curiosities about our thoughts, etc. Next time you'll be hearing from us will probably be Thanksgiving, because we're going to release our next episode on Thanksgiving. So enjoy that.
Yeah, listen to it while you're driving to grandma's.
Yeah, American Thanksgiving, by the way. So yeah. That does it for us. So we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Konnichiwa, people.